Today, we have some crazy, crazy, crazy news for y'all. As anybody who's been following the news lately, you are probably aware of the fact that already, according to the news that has been going out all over the world, Syria has fallen to the hands of the rebels. So the rebels have overtaken Damascus, they have overtaken the capital. Bashar al-Assad, the ruler of Syria, and his whole family that have been ruling the nation for over 50 years, has fled the country, presumably dead in a plane crash, is one report. On the other hand, there's other reports coming out from Russia that they have taken him and his family in to be asylum seekers and receiving asylum as um, for humanitarian purposes and whatnot. So these are the conflicting reports that are going out. What I can tell you guys is what I do know based on the intel that we're getting, those of us who have been fighting in this war now for over a year. My unit has been deployed for 295 days out of this year plus long combat. We've been on 3 different deployments, 2 in Gaza, 1 in Lebanon. And right now, we have good friends in our counterpart units who are stationed right now in the north that have been sent to not Lebanon this time, but to secure the border in Syria. So essentially, there's a buffer zone between Syria and Israel. Um, Anybody who's visited Israel, you have and have been to the north, you have probably noticed the highest mountain Israel has, known as the Hermon Mountain or Hermon in Hebrew. So Mount Hermon is the highest point, strategic point between Israel and Syria that essentially gives Israel the strategic advantage, blocking the Syrian side, which actually has the higher peak of Mount Hermon on their side. But because of our mountain peak that's in between, we actually have a strategic block for the Syrian side. So, right now, as of the past 48 hours, the Israeli Defense Forces have actually now conquered the Syrian side. So, Syria is now conquered, taken over on the strategic on the strategic uh, uh, Her- Mount Hermon side, peak on their side. And um, so that's what we have right now, what's going on. Um, Israel is basically moving forward to strategic places to make sure that the buffer zone between Syria and Israel is not breached and that there is no spill out from the rebels into Israel proper, into Israel territory. Um, what has basically happened? You have a bunch of different factions, groups, Christian groups, Christian militias, Muslim militias, different Muslim militias. You have the Kurds, and all kinds of different groups. Okay, um, but the ones that have taken power right now is Al-Julani. Al-Julani is a Saudi born Syrian whose parents are Syrian originally. And his name is actually derived from the Golan Heights and Golani, right? So Golani or Al-Julani, right? In the Arabic, Al-Julani. So the head of the rebel faction group, his name and his origins essentially come from the Golan Heights because originally his family originated in the Syrian Golan Heights that was occupied by Syria before the 6 Day War, before 1967, when Israel liberated that part of the territory of what then later became Israel, which was a strategic point to control and defend, like I said, with the Mount Hermon being on the side of Israel, in addition to all that, and the Golan Heights, which were controlling Jewish communities in the valleys, in the Hula Valley, where I actually grew up, all the farming community that were getting pot shots, getting rocketed and mortared continuously, not just from the Lebanese side, but from the Syrian side. And actually, that's actually mostly before Lebanon even came into the picture. So originally, we were bombarded, those of us who grew up in the north, bombarded by the Syrian occupation of this territory. So when Israel liberated this territory, we gave ourselves a buffer zone and a protective defensive border between us and the Syrian nation of Syria and Jordan, actually. They all kind of meet there, Jordan, Lebanon, etc. Um, so this is important for people to understand, because you need to understand that what Israel is up against right now has been in this year plus battles of fighting since October 7th, 2023. Israel's been at war. We have been a multi-front war. We have been fighting in Gaza. We have been fighting in Lebanon. We have been defending the border between Syria and Israel, with some spill out of the fighting there coming to us here. And essentially, also fighting in the heart of Israel, in the Palestinian communities in Judea, Samaria. Um, so we have been on a multi-front war just in the close geographical region of Israel and our neighbors. But in addition to this, we have had the largest rocket attack in history on a single day against another nation by Iran. Twice. Twice, Iran sent hundreds of rockets, missiles, ballistic missiles, UAVs, unmanned, basically drones, attack drones, which are not like a little drone that you fly, but we're talking about something like a very small, relative, basically a small airplane. And just recently, today actually, one of those drones hit central Israel again. So we have had these attacks coming from not just inside Israel or right on our border, but also all the way from Iran, from Yemen, the Houthis. Um, Basically, Israel, if you get the idea, has been at a very complex, very difficult war. And right now, Israel has just opened up another front with Syria, and is basically right now the troops that are there. Like I said, we're there for a buffer zone, that we protect the buffer zone. We've actually entered into the buffer zone, sent in the troops to control that buffer zone until the situation with Syria basically calms down, and then we can basically make a proper transfer to whoever is going to be the next leader of Syria. So, as I said in the beginning here, the head of the rebel force, because like I said, it's a hodgepodge of a bunch of different militias in Syria. There's been a civil war ongoing for years now. Over 500,000 Syrians have died in this conflict, what was known as the Arab Spring, for those who remember when this began. And it's been a bloody many years of fighting. Like I said, over 500,000 people, over 600,000 people estimated have been murdered, killed in this conflict. And right now, Bashar al-Assad and his family have lost power of over 50 years of ruling and controlling Syria. And right now, Al-Julani, the current leader, and I guess out of all these groups that have taken over Syria now, he is now the one who's apparently, it seems, is trying to take power and take the place of Assad to rule Syria. Now, he has claimed that Israel is a nation is a friendly nation. We have no qualms with Israel. We have no intentions on fighting with Israel. We want to keep peaceful relations with Israel. But I personally have very, very strong reservations about this individual. Based on the intel that we have about him, we know that he grew up in Damascus, and in 2021, he shared in an interview that he was inspired by the Second Palestinian Intifada of 2000. Okay, he later became a jihadist in Iraq following the U.S. invasion in 2003. Over the years, he kept his identity hidden by covering his face in public and appearances. In 2011, he returned to Syria from Iraq to establish the Al-Qaeda's Syrian branch, Al-Qaeda. Okay. So just to give you guys some context. Okay. So this individual he is no good guy. Okay. He is not a good guy at all. Contrary to what you might be hearing on Western media, what they're telling you on CNN and on all these BBC and whatever. Again, I don't know exactly. I haven't really looked at all the headlines, but I'm imagining that you're not going to hear this layout per se given to you by what is taking place. Probably what you're going to hear is that Assad, who has been ruling Syria as this evil dictator for so many years, have been overthrown by the rebels, and it's like this. What you're going to hear is probably this concept of the underdog. Yay! Finally the underdogs took over back their country, and we're all rejoicing with the Syrian people and so on. And that is some of what I've already seen. Okay, so you see people rejoicing in the streets, the Syrians. You see them talking about them being excited that Syria has been liberated by this long regime by Bashar al-Assad, and you see them liberating people that have been imprisoned for years. In fact, one of the prisoners that I noticed, that I saw, that was reported, had no clue what was going on currently with the anything. He didn't know about the war in Lebanon, Israel, this, that. He knew nothing about what has been going on in his country. Has been held for so long that he's just lost touch completely of any current events in his country. And basically, you can imagine, basically people are now needing to get caught up with, well, here's what's happened in the past 20 years. I mean, some of these political prisoners have been held for years. Now, yes, that is terrible. Yes, that is horrible. I am by no means a fanboy of Bashar al-Assad, but what I will tell you is Assad has been, as evil as he has been the lesser of two evils. This is my opinion. He's been the lesser of two evils when these groups that are now taking over, these liberation forces, right? That you're going to be hearing on the media. They are very concerning to me. For one, the fact that this individual, right, who is the head of these groups, of these rebels, he has the Al-Qaeda ideology and background. And right now, part of the terms that have been used, so you understand, to how they talk about the region, they call it the Greater Syria, okay, from the Arabic, and basically what that means is when they're using these, their Arabic term for the greater land, for the greater Syria, what they're also talking about, essentially, to give you some context, is a landmass that encompasses Lebanon, Jordan, Israel, and Syria. Okay, so these guys, in their ideologies and in their let's liberate this region that is ours, right? Like when we use the term the Levant, okay, what they have in mind is these territories. Okay. So I have a very, very, very huge concerns for this terrorist group. I'm calling it the way I see it. To me, these are terrorists. Okay. They're not rebels. These are terrorists. And within all the different factions, yes, you have what you would say rebels, those who were rebelling against the Syrian regime. So you have that. Okay. You have legit people who uh, basically joined whomever in order to liberate their country from the what was the current regime. Um, but they are. My question is, what are they going to find themselves in the day after? Okay, if we look at history of our region and and how things have unfolded in the liberation of Iraq, the liberation of Afghanistan, right? The 20 plus year war that the United States and the West, Western countries have been fighting, the results haven't been very good. Right now, for example, the ones who are controlling Afghanistan is essentially an ISIS led or ISIS leadership government. Okay. These were the ones that the United States military were fighting against. These were the rebels, you know, um, that were the problem to begin with. So what I'm seeing right now is a very, very serious concern for these current events, and what Israel's doing about it, based on all this intel we have about these people. Because trust me, Israel's not stupid. We know our enemies. And what I'm seeing, what we're doing is very smart, is we're putting our soldiers in position for basically showing a power play and saying, okay, you guys have taken over Syria. You gotten rid of Assad. We didn't like him either. Okay, fine. No problem. Um, and we have a certain border arrangement with the former regime. So we're going to control that border and make sure that whoever's taking power, there's going to be a clear message that you mess around, we're here. We're not messing around. We're not playing. Okay. We're showing a show of force, and we're going to bring all of our top units, which by the way, the units that have been sent there and good friends of mine are there. These are the tip of the spear of the military that are being positioned there right now. So I can tell you right now, we're not messing around. And we're also sending a message, right? Like I said, that we're going to control this border, and we're going to make sure that whoever's taking power, okay, know that Israel's watching, and we will take action if we have to. And I'm sure there's messages being sent, by the way, to remind them, by the way, don't forget what Israel's done in this past year. Don't forget how all the top leaders of the Hamas in Egypt, in Gaza, and all the top echelon from the Hezbollah terrorist group in Lebanon have all been eliminated. Okay, all of them have been eliminated. Every one of the threats to the existential threat to Israel, we have eliminated. We have taken care of. We are going to take action if we have to. So you better not mess around. So we're definitely sending that clear message. And while we're sending that message, we're also simultaneously actually doing preemptive strikes and actually destroying weapon depots that we know of so that the rebels don't get their hands on it. So all the storehouses of the weapons of mass destruction that have been stored and facilitated for when they wanted to use that against Israel. Israel is already right now making strategic airstrikes, and they're eliminating those storage depots. So those are just part of the moves that Israel's doing. Our prime minister has made a public announcement as well, making it very clear, like what I just told you, that we're not messing around. We're waiting to see who's going to take over, and if this Al-Julani is, the Golani Golanian is going to take over, then let it be clear that even with his namesake, the Golan and um, the state of Israel is a no-go for you. This is not going to turn out good for you if you're thinking at all to try and attack us. If you're thinking at all of pursuing Jerusalem, okay, because you better believe that they have their eyes fixated on Jerusalem. So in their minds, typical of these jihadist extremists, once they take over Syria, for them, when you're looking at a long historic battles and history and control of all these territories from the Islamic dynasties. In their minds, Jerusalem is next. I'm telling you that right now. Jerusalem is next. So Israel is making it very clear to them, if that is what you're thinking, think again. And I think that's something that you all need to be paying attention to. Pay attention to the verbiage, pay attention to the movements of what's going to take place, how they establish themselves now that they have freed Syria from Bashar al-Assad's rule and his family's dynasty. They've ruled there, and it is yet to be seen if they are going to play nice, if they're going to understand that even if they might have those deep aspirations, like I said, think again. This is a no-go zone for you guys. And Israel will do what it takes in order to defend our people, our territory. So that is a quick update, guys. I hope you enjoyed this update. I want to thank you all for listening to the podcast, and look forward to the up and coming podcasts that will be released here soon. I know it's been a while since we've released the podcast. I have been very busy and doing a bunch of different things here lately. We've had the Thanksgiving weekend, and we've had some friends and visitors that came and visited me from the States. Had a good time, by the way, with some really good veterans talking about war. So this was one of your top warriors that have been fighting on the war of terrorism that I've been talking about here, and some of the most significant battles and units for the United States military. So I enjoyed my history lesson and conversation with this amazing warrior, and I look forward to posting the next podcast where we get some voices and stories from uh, different warriors that have been fighting in the different parts of the world on these very issues, on these very battlefields, and fighting these essentially the same threat that is threatening the West and the rest of the world. And I guarantee you that our next guest, if you enjoyed the last podcast with a former Australian SAS, then the next guest that I have for the podcast, guys, is going to be equally interesting story. And I can't wait to publish that. And to finish off, I also want to say thank you guys for all the many birthday wishes. Last year was not a pleasant birthday for myself. I was deployed with my good friends, my wonderful team, in the middle of basically hell in Gaza, in the thicket of the war that was unfolding there, trying to get our hostages and all the different operations that were going on. And then also at the same time, the day of my birthday last year, one of my very, very close friends had passed away from a wonderful family of ours, friends of ours. Their mother and also a wonderful friend to our family had passed away, and I was not able to make it to the funeral because I was deployed. And like I said, a year ago from now was not a pleasant time, and so this has been for all of us, this has been a very tough year. So I appreciate your prayers. I appreciate your support. Look forward to the speaking tour that I'm planning right now for the United States. So the announcements are going out that I will be going on a speaking tour for a month starting the mid-January, January 12th. I'll be in the States. So if you're looking to listen to me speak in person, I'll be talking about this past year where my team and I have been involved in the different conflict zones, both in Gaza and Lebanon, and giving you front lines accounts and stories and the truth of here's what's happened. This is what we've been doing, contrary to what you'll see on mainstream media. So look for those announcements. Look for the for schedule dates and whatnot. And I look forward to see you at the venues. And until then, you guys have a wonderful week. And I hope you enjoyed this update. God bless you guys from Israel. Shalom.